Alright, this might be the most niche video I've ever made. What am I saying? Might be. It is the most niche video. There are 24 crossovers in NBA 2K25 for a 6'6" player to get. 6'5" and up, and between 6'5" and 6'9". Don't get enough love on these dribble videos. I'm no dribble head, but this is the most underutilized move in the game. It's a very simple but elegant in and out. We all know we've all played against guys with a 91 to 96 steal, so we understand the, how do you say it, the fun of going up against um, guys who are way faster than us and don't actually press square at the right time, but they just press it prior to you doing some sort of change of direction move, like a behind the back or a crossover, and they just get a bump steal. So what you're watching here is um, best dribbler in town right there. Pick up my dribble at full court, but I'm going through every single one of these 24 dribble animations, showing you each individual moving in and out that it correlates with, and then also to show you I tested all of the standing in and outs with it. Now the standing in and outs do not change, and you can actually see in every single one I get the same. Oh, let's see if I cough. Okay, we're good. I get the same move every time, but I wanted to show that I've actually tried and tested this, right? So the moving crossover only affects the moving in and outs. Now the reason you want to use a moving in and out this year is because bump steals are rather annoying. Change of direction, crossing over in front of your body, uh, it no doubt exposes it more than ever, I'd say. I would say this year is probably the hardest to move it from right to left without getting a reach um, animation and it actually working. And so I was talking to my good friend and fellow YouTuber Ballinyo, which is he's actually the reason why I made this video, because he posted one of my clips of a mean in and out, and I was telling him how the way I dribble this year resembles my sixth grade girls basketball team I coach. A lot of right hand, not a lot of left hand. I don't switch ball hand normally. Why? Because most people are expecting that. A lot of time when they're full court pressing me, I'll back up and attack the exact same way I was going prior to being pressed. It just works. In this in and out, maintaining a good speed while also making them think I'm going to switch, because everyone's always swapped hands. They thought you had to change direction in order to gain that advantage. And so what I'm trying to do is use that against the defender for my advantage, right? Now, obviously, you need a good crossover to pair with an in and out, because a good in and out is only as good as the crossover, because it's a counter to that crossover, right? But I didn't focus on that as much. I feel like there are so many videos talking specifically about crossovers that I didn't need to make that video. Um, I would say this video is specific towards the animations that pair with the crossovers. So if you see a video, or if you've probably known by now what crossovers you like. So I wanted to show the crossover you might be using. While it is good to go from right to left or left to right down the court, to swap hands, that might be why you're not getting good in and out animations, because in and outs are solely based on what moving crossover you have. So I know I've seen a lot of people say, like, how did you get certain in and out animations? Like, how do you get that? I don't get that. You gotta try these crossovers. Now, I'm gonna have a list at the end of the video, so whether or not you want to watch till the end or not, I don't care. I will be putting a list of the worst and the best in and outs and it'll be up to you. Now, a lot of them have very similar animations, but certain ones are awful, especially when you combine how bad their crossover animation is. But if you look solely on in and outs, some are absolutely awful. So make sure to stay tuned. I'll do that towards the end. But my bad, I had a cough. But again, in and outs are only as good as the crossover. So I would suggest try crossover animations. Try them. I'm gonna have a list of them, of the best. We'll say the top two. But I currently use Kobe White. So the video you saw, if you came from Bolaño's YouTube short, is Kobe White. I would say, spoiler alert, that is still my favorite. There's still a couple others that I enjoy, but as a slasher, and my Min Thompson is a pure slasher, 99 dunk and 25 three-pointer slasher, right? Point guard. So I need to maintain that speed while running downhill, while getting ahead of seam, and still have a tight enough in and out, but also a deceptive enough in and out, if that makes sense. Like the one you just saw there, super tight, but does it fake you at all? Do you really think I'm going left? Because the goal of an in and out is, if it's in my right hand, make you think I'm going left, but it's still tight enough where I'm not having to go all the way left and all the way right. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to keep it close to your body, because we're worried about steals. So, and I know this is a longer video. I could have edited it, but I didn't want to. So, like I said, I hope you appreciate this. You get to see each animation for what it is, in real time. You get to see the real animation, not the best one, right? Now, some of these you'll notice uh, later on in the video that I I go through it a couple times. Is because I've already tested all these out, and I realized, ooh, that animation wasn't what I normally get. Like I noticed that normally I would get one similar every time, but it didn't look like the one I just got. So I would go around and do it again and show you, okay, that's the other variation of it. Just know all of these animations, all of these moving crossovers, you'll get similar, like you'll get a style of in and out, but you won't peep the dribbles. But you'll get similar animations. You won't get the exact same animation every time though. You won't. There's variation with in and outs, and that's the unfortunate part about it. You can't expect the exact animation you'll get. Uh, but if you set it up right, if you're setting it up where they know you're gonna go and cross over, and then you hit them with that in and out, it almost doesn't matter what animation you get. Now, if you're still in the video, I'm gonna tell you how to do it. You gotta actually watch the video, right, guys? The way you do this is by flicking. You can't hold R2. You flick right stick towards your ball hand, diagonal up. So in all of these clips, the moving in and out, while I'm going downhill, it's in my right hand. So I'm right after I hit half court. You got to give yourself some space too, by the way. I like to do it about there, right at 3-point line. But you have to flick it up and to the right, a perfect diagonal upright, like a nice shot. A perfect northeast if we're looking at a compass. If you don't do that, especially even on these standing ones, you won't you won't get the right animation. You'll get a hezzy or something. You go too far up while you're running, you're just going to get that stutter step. hezzy. You go too far to the right, you'll just get a hang dribble, you know. So you have to do it specifically up and ball side. Okay, pretty simple though. Again, the 2K tutorial, where it shows you all the moves and everything, it teaches you this. So if you haven't gone in there and just labbed, you got to do that. Like, I mean, especially if you don't know how to do something as simple as an in and out, there's no point in letting your ego or your pride get the best of you, right? Ignorance isn't a problem. Willful ignorance is, right? So again, I just want to say thanks for anyone who's still watching. You're 11 minutes into a video of me literally testing in and out dribbles. So you're one of the OGs. You're one of the true fans, and I appreciate that. So as a token of my gratitude, I'm gonna put the list of the worst in and outs right now. I'm gonna tell you, do not use Jaylen Brown at all for your crossover if you plan on doing an in and out. You will create zero separation. You will create zero separation, and the crossover is not even that good either. That is, I would say, by far the worst one. When I was coming up with this list, that one was I have to have that one in the list. And that's what you get for being a true OG follower and subscriber. If you haven't, you're watching this video, you're 12 minutes into an in and out video, and you're not subscribing to me. Come on now. You've already showed your loyalty. I'm literally just ranting at midnight, 12:30, and you're watching me rant about in and outs. So that means you like the content. So as you see here, this one, I knew that in and out wasn't normal. So I wanted to get a good sample size of it. All right, for the OGs, we're going with number 2 on the list of do not use. You actually just saw it, LeBron James. Don't use LeBron. I had to get a good sample size because I saw a good one and I was like, wait a second. I thought I hated this one. Then I did a couple more, hated it. And because you're an OG, because you're a true subscriber, there's a list of 4 not to use if you plan on doing in and outs. The 4 worst in and outs. You're looking at it right now. Don't use Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan just isn't good. There are some decent enough ones, but paired with the crossover, don't use it. And last, certainly not least, I still dislike this one equally. Maybe not equally. Jaylen Brown is the worst, but I still for sure dislike this one. Brandon Ingram, not a fan of it. It's probably the closest one to getting out of the list, but it's still bad enough where instead of just making a bottom 3, I made a bottom 4. So there's an obvious tier and an obvious leap between whatever the crossover to use before Brandon Ingram and then Brandon Ingram. That's how bad it is. It's still much worse. Okay. Um, and I would say if I were to do a Brandon Ingram is right there with Kawhi. Kawhi has some really bad ones also, but it also has, I would say, one animation that is consistent enough that you could use it, but the crossover is awful, so don't ever use it. You just saw it. Kawhi, those are the top 5 not to use. Jordan, LeBron, Kawhi, Brandon Ingram, and don't ever use Jaylen Brown because the in and out's not going to work. Now, because you're still watching because I'm just ranting about in and outs. My top three. Like I said, Kobe White. I use Kobe White. You'll see it soon enough. Kobe White paired with the crossover. It's a really good push crossover. So it really it's like a good pump fake. A good in and out is only as good as the setup, right? If you're not making it look like the crossover, then it's not going to work, right? It's got to look like the crossover, and then last minute you stop and you go back uh, the same way you're going, right? Or you're going before. So you see it in a second, but Kobe White is still, I would say, my number one. There's still some that are, I would say, good, but I would say Kobe White is still for sure the number one. Now, I don't have a hard list of these two are for sure. I think Kobe White's still for sure the best one. But I will say Tatum, not a bad one. You just saw a really good animation there. Tatum's not a bad one at all. Now, again, these all compare to crossover, so you got to see if you even like the crossover and see if you can even use it, and set it up the right way because a good in and out only as good as the crossover, right? But the in and out for Tatum, really good. Um, and you see Kobe White, I just got a bad one. So everyone's gonna have a weird one, but this is the one you'll see. It's real quick, snappy. Okay. Uh, by far my favorite, and it really just sells the I'm going left, and then it just stops on a dime. Tatum's up there. Paul George and Halliburton are good, and Devin Booker's not bad either. Now the best budget in and out by far is what you're about to see is Zion. You only need a 70 ball handle for this. Now, it isn't as fast as the rest in terms of maintaining speed, but just animation by itself, really solid. You'll see it. Zion for the budget is really good. You see how I'm still maintaining that downhill speed and I just snap it over there. So, best budget by far, Zion. You only need a 70 ball handle. You can get that at 6'11", right? Yeah. So by far the best budget one. But other than that, man, you just made it 18 minutes into an in and out video. Appreciate it. Again, if you did that, no need in you not being a subscriber anymore. Other than that, I'm gonna leave you with it. We out of here. Deuces.